Good morning, I'm Chris Pierce. I want to thank you all for joining us here on this beautiful morning. There's a famous centuries-old quote, "It's impossible to be sure of anything but death and taxes." In today's world, that relationship seems to be even closer. When you die, you get taxed. And when you saw your tax evaluations back in January, you might have felt like dying. We all understand local government relies on property taxes to function. We also know that property taxes are based on property value. But what the government truly needs to function properly is reliable consistency in property valuations. Consistency allows governments the ability to control budgets and to keep taxes low. This is something that we have not had in the current Assessor Register of Deeds leadership. How can the Douglas County Board or Mayor Stothert plan budgets if they cannot rely on the values set by the county assessor? So what has been the current assessor's track record? Well, last year we had to endure the state coming in and correcting the values set by the current assessor. This led to a 7% increase over much of Omaha and an 8% decrease in the North Omaha area. This year we received a late Christmas present in January. In a letter to the county board, the Nebraska Department of Revenue stated that the current assessor decided to set the median value of our homes at 99% of market value. She chose to value at the top end of the state mandated 92 to 100%. That means over 83,000 homes in Douglas County were assessed at more than 99% of their market value. And now some, if not most of these homes are going to be taxed at a greater amount than they could sell their homes for. And projections for the next value cycle is indicating even more increases. Even more troubling, the current assessor knew that there was going to be this dramatic and drastic increase more than a year in advance and did nothing to warn taxpayers or local elected officials about what was to come. This one fact alone proves that we need new leadership in the Assessor Register of Deeds office. I'm here today to announce my candidacy as the Republican candidate for the office of Douglas County Assessor Register of Deeds. I'm running on a simple three-part platform that will improve consistency, fairness, and accuracy. First, fair values. I will assess all residential property at 93% of market value. I and the staff of the Assessor Register of Deeds office will focus on the true and fair market value of property in our county. We will work with homeowners to ensure that we get that number right. Now remember, true and fair market value is what a willing seller will sell and a willing buyer will buy a property for. We want property owners to understand that they can visit our office throughout the year, not just in February, if they have questions regarding their value. To help with this, my office will make publicly available the market value, not just the assessed value of property. We have a simple math equation. Market value times 0.93 equals the assessed value for tax purposes. This plan treats everyone equally and fairly. Secondly, true value. I will create a new market area map so that neighborhoods are the focus of comparison for your home's value, not a home on the other side of the county. Gone will be the days where Ralston is compared to a home on Blair High Road, or a home in Elkhorn is compared to a home at 42nd and Q. We learned a very painful lesson last year when the Tax Equalization and Review Commission, also known as TURC, mandated a 7% increase over much of the county and an 8% decrease in the North Omaha area. The county board was partially successful at challenging the actions of TURC. The Nebraska Supreme Court reversed the TURC decision to decrease homes' value in North Omaha by 8%. Unfortunately, the repercussion of that victory is that homeowners now owe and must pay the taxes due to the initial decrease. My plan is to focus market areas at the subdivision or neighborhood level. This will restrict the ability of the state to reach into the county and make sweeping adjustments to value. Now, if for some reason they feel that an adjustment must be made, their effect will be limited by the very focused subdivision markets rather than sweeping changes across the county as we felt last year. And third, no more double jeopardy. I will end the practice of challenging a property's value at TURC after a property owner is successful in their protest at the Board of Equalization. I will also place a value change moratorium on values for all successful protests at either Board of Equalization or at TURC. How many have heard this situation? John protested the Board of Equalization and got his value lowered. But guess what? The assessor raised the value back to the original, or not, or perhaps even higher, the very next year. Now, we've all heard stories about like this one. Gone will be the days when the Board of Equalization, or TERC, finds in favor of a property owner, only to have the assessor return that property's value to the protested or even higher value the very next year. It is unreasonable to place property owners in a back and forth ego trip. Property owners of Douglas County have been on an emotional roller coaster the last few years. The January surprise left many seniors and disabled veterans, many of whom are on a very fixed income, in a state of panic, wondering if they will be able to keep their homes. How many examples did we hear from property owners at county board meetings where there were value increases of 5, 6, or 800% or more? And the current assessor was indifferent, even at times combative, when the public, Mayor Stothert, and the county board asked for actions. How many times did the members of the county board ask, how did this happen? And all they got was confusing charts and spreadsheets. To this day, the current assessor has not really explained to the public or to the county board what created the January surprise. The plan I propose as the next assessor register of deeds reflects the positive change that I will bring to the assessor's office. I firmly believe that the office can be run more efficiently and use of our tax dollars more wisely. There will be no more closing the office during government hours to spend $8,000 of taxpayer money for Christmas parties. And when budgets are tight, I'm not going to spend taxpayer money to remodel my office like the current assessor has. I will improve the damaged working relationships with the county board and the city of Omaha. I will make the office a friendlier place to work and to do business with. The assessor's office does not have any say in tax rates or levies, but we can assure that the property owners are taxed at the lower end of the statutory range. My goal is to be a partner with local and state governments in creating property tax relief. I will accomplish this by providing consistency and real fairness in the assessments of Douglas County. Again, my name is Chris Pierce. I'm the candidate for the Douglas County Assessor Register of Deeds, and I'll take any questions that you guys may have.
Mr. Pierce, can you talk to us about how you left your position quite abruptly, and how you think that that termination relates to now your candidacy today?
I think when I first, the reasoning I was given was that there was budgetary restraints because of the enormous amount of overtime. At the time, I took Diane at her word. But hindsight afterwards, and after thinking about it, I kind of look back and talking about the mismanagement. When you spend money on office remodel, when you spend money on Christmas parties, is that truly managing your budget correctly, and whether or not my job really needed to happen? But the other thing, the more important reason is I felt, and I spoke up to Diane when we knew in 2015 that there were going to be some valuation changes coming in the coming years. And some of us suggested and encouraged that we talk to the public and talk to the county board about what's coming, and she decided not to, and I think that was a very bad decision. Anything else?
Can you tell us how you knew about these changes that were coming to the valuations? Because every time I've talked to Diane Badiato, she has said that she was just as surprised as anybody else.
Well, when you have conversations during manager meetings about the bad, one of the things that happened when we took over for Roger Morrissey was there was bad info in the database. We found a lot of different problems. Knowing about those problems and trying to correct them, we knew at the time that there were going to be issues. Land issues came out very early on, that we knew land value was really a wreck. And to fix anything in the assessor's office, if you've got to fix data, it usually means the data is wrong and it's way too low, which means you're going to have to increase it, which means that's going to increase the value of homes, which in turn could increase tax rates. So we had many conversations in managers' meetings and in smaller groups about what was happening, what we found, and what will be the repercussions of what we found. And that started in 2015.
Why do you think she decided not to warn people about it when you told her she should?
I think that's a question that you'll have to ask Diane. I can't explain her motivation.
Your plan to have everything assessed at 93%, how long is that going to take? A year, 2 years?
That's a good question, Joe, because the assessor's office just upgraded its CAMA system to a new version, and that's a version I'm not familiar with. But I'd say within 2 years, we should get close, because the other thing I want to be very careful of, there are properties out there, significant properties, that are valued well below the 92%, and there are properties valued well above the 100%. And one thing I don't want to do is the sticker shock again, to where I shove everyone at 93%. So I'm going to be working with the Department of Revenue to see if we can create a plan to ease those down to the 93. 93, if we treat everyone the same. Now everyone's value will be different. We're going to focus on what your value, your market value. Everyone will be treated the same as the 93%. So I would say at least a year, maybe two. If I'm fortunate I get elected, the first values that I will have control over will be the 2019, because she will already have done for 2018, and those will be posted about a week after I take office. So my first effective values will be the following year, and we'll do everything we can to get to that point.
When you mentioned sticker shock, that's almost a given, isn't it? That some are going to get the 93.
No,
some people
but the way you avoid sticker shock is communicating with the public and being transparent about what's going on. One of the plans that we're currently working on is putting together an assessment advisory commission made up of real estate professionals in the community, so that we can have that group come together and talk about what's going on in the market, and having that report and what we're finding both available to the public and to the county board. Because the one thing I will not do is have sticker shock. Everyone will know I'll do everything within my ability to inform the public. Here's what's happening in the market, because that's what's going on. The market, we've had a robust market. Houses are selling. There's more buyers than there are homes. That shoves the market up. Well, the market controls the values of your home. Whether you're selling or not, the value of your home is affected by what's going on around you. And as long as we are transparent and open about that with the public and the county board, and say, here's what we're projecting, here's what we're seeing, which means there's going to be increase in values. But what I can do is I can assure that they're assessed for tax purposes at the lower end. Whereas what she did is, instead of assessing at 93% or 94%, she went to 99%, was her original median value. And just for everyone, what everyone should know, median value means if you have 51 homes in a group, the 26th home is your median, and that's what we're judged on. We don't know what these are, and we don't know, but we know they're above and below. So it's not really an average, it's the exact middle of your group of properties. Now, if we are doing everyone at 93%, my median is 93, everyone else is being valued at 93, it's very simple. It's a simple math equation at that point. Anyone else?
Do you make any change to the frequency of the valuation?
Well, that's all statutory mandated. I mean, the assessor's office is probably one of the most statutory restricted offices in county government. There is an entire section that has nothing to do but the assessor's office. So I can't do anything about that. It's every year new values come out. The other statutory requirement is we are to inspect every home every 6 years. So if there is going to be an adjustment to value, you should have it within a 6-year cycle. You shouldn't be the same value for 10 years and suddenly get a great big bump. That's what we should be avoiding, and that's what the statute says that we avoid. So hopefully that will answer your questions. Frequency.
One thing that Diane would tell us time and again was she was just doing her job. She was doing what she was legally mandated and required to do, and that is bring properties up to market value. And they were undervalued for such a long time. So don't blame the messenger. She's just doing what she was supposed to.
And what I would say is, as the next assessor of registries, I'm going to go beyond my job. I'm going to do my job, but then I'm also going to have the taxpayer and the property owners in mind and keep them in the loop. That's the biggest issue with the January surprises. No one outside the office knew this was coming. And I think that is a disparity on those property owners by the assessor's office. So if I were in that position, I would have had conversations a year in advance, minimally to the county board, to let them know what we were seeing, let them know what was happening. And then, we advised maybe do some town hall meetings or things like that. I would go the next step. Do I have to? No, because it's not my job description, but that's something that I would do that would be very, very different.
How do you know that she spent $8,000 redecorating her office?
No, she spent $8,000 in salaries on the Christmas party.
Okay.
I don't know what the money was spent on her 4th floor office.
Okay.
We just know that we saw lots of new furniture, new TVs, lamps, couches, area rugs, really nice stuff.
How do you know that was taxpayer money?
Because I know for a fact she didn't pay for it herself.
She told you?
I know. And that's something, it's out there if you guys want to look for it. It's there. Because no one is going to buy all that stuff on their own dime. It's just not going to happen.
And no one else gave her the money for it?
I don't think that's even legal, Joe. I don't think someone can donate furniture to a public office. Because that furniture won't go with her when she leaves. Anything else?
I've got one question. for
Sure,
you.
Joe.
At a time when people say they don't like long campaigns,
Mhm.
you're launching a long campaign here. Well, it's going to be over a year till November of next year. Why so early?
I think because there's a lot that needs to be done, and I think this office should be one of the top elections. I think more people are going to be paying attention to that. And secondly, I want to get in that way no one else does. I mean, I've been in the office. I know how it works. I've got all the qualifications for that office. I want to make it very clear. I'm going to be the Republican candidate for that office to run against Diane if she's successful, if she's primary.
Are you just trying to get back at her for firing you?
She didn't fire me. She laid me off. And no, this has been a difficult decision for me on a personal level because Diane and I have been personal friends for over a decade, or for a decade. So this is probably one of the, as I told my wife and friends, I've never been nervous in public speaking. As Joe could tell you, I'm nervous today. And because of what this means I'm going to have to do. I made the decision to run for this office, to make it a better office, and there are some personal challenges for me to do that. The easiest thing for me is just get a different job and walk away and no problems. I'm actually asking for problems at this point.
Did you tell her you're running?
Not personally, no. No. All right. Thanks, guys. I appreciate your time.